somebody asked why we having this on Friday. I'm like, this is my way of keeping all elected officials from going to on vacation early. So, or going to the weekend early. So, no, not really. We've just got a lot of committees, a lot of task force going on, and this was most convenient time for all of us to get here and listen to this issue. So, at this point, let's have the roll call, please.
Senator Nemus.
Present.
President Stivers. Senator Wheeler. Senator Yates. Representative Bridges. Representative Chester Burton. Representative Meredith.
Yes, sir.
Representative Pollock. Representative Dixon.
Here.
Chair Mills.
I'm here. We're good. All right. Well, we'll skip over the minutes until we get hopefully one more person walk in here and we can approve our minutes. But we'll just jump right on into our discussion. And the county folks are going to go first. We're going to go back, flip our agenda around. So if judges could come to the table, however y'all want to do these all together or individually, come on up to the table and the floor will be yours. If y'all can introduce yourselves and tell us where you're from. Appreciate you taking time from your day to discuss this important issue. Thank you. Button needs to be on. There you go. There you go.
Now it's on.
There you go.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, and thank you for allowing us to be here today. My name is Amy Milliken. If okay with you, I'll start, or do you want us to introduce ourselves first? Okay.
Okay. My name's Todd Mansfield. I'm Todd County's Judge Executive.
Mark McKenzie, Johnson County Judge Executive.
So good afternoon again, and thank you for being patient with me. I lost track of time. I didn't have my watch on, so that's a problem of mine. Chairman Mills, Chairman Dixon, thank you for allowing Warren County to be here today and to speak with you on behalf of some issues that we have some concerns over. I also want to thank the entire committee, the entire task force for being here. We appreciate your time, particularly on a Friday afternoon. You may be wondering why the Warren County Attorney is here and not the Warren County Judge Executive, or maybe even the Madison County Judge Executive, but unfortunately Judge Executive Reagan Taylor fell ill, and Judge Executive Corman's out of town. So I don't know what that means, but I'm in third place to bad. So that may not be good. I'll try not to disappoint. What I'd like to discuss with you today is annexation issues concerning counties with a population of over 30,000, and Warren County is one of those counties. You may still be questioning why you've got the county attorney and not another county judge executive before you today with that population. But if I may submit to you, Mike Buchanan, our recently retired county judge executive in Warren County, and I worked together hand in hand for the past 27 years. And I would present to you that we were like no other county judge, county attorney combo in the Commonwealth. I'm pretty proud of the fact that I've dedicated my entire career to county government service. Very proud of our county. I want to thank the mayor and also the city commissioners. I see one of my city commissioners here today for being here today. We appreciate what the mayors do. It is important to Warren County and all of the counties across the Commonwealth that cities thrive and that cities grow, because when cities grow and thrive, so do our counties. So it's very important that everyone understands. It would be a false narrative to say that our cities and counties don't want to get along with each other, don't want to work together, because we certainly do, and that's why we're all here today. So our concern really, Warren County's concern in particular, is just regarding the city's success. We want all of our cities to be successful, but we don't want it to be at the expense of our county, and I'll explain. So Warren County has a population of over 30,000. There are about 25 of us similarly situated in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Warren County has seen tremendous growth over the past several years, and by 2045, we are set to be the largest county, with the exception of Lexington and Louisville, the largest county in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and we're pretty proud of that. We have a great working relationship with the city of Bowling Green. They're here today. And all of the mayors within Warren County. Mike and I both boasted that we were not only colleagues with these mayors, but we consider them close personal friends. Our now Judge Executive Gorman will be no exception to that. The annexation problem has nothing to do with mayors and judge executives, counties and cities. It's really an annexation problem that centers around the law and how the law is written and how it affects the population of those over 30,000. As the law stands now, merely because of our population being over 30,000, if a city annexes property in Warren County, we no longer have any ability to get any occupational tax. None at all. Those laws were created in the 80s. I don't know why. I don't know the rationale behind it. I would submit to you I was merely a child, but none of us were here. You all may know, but I don't. So I just want to be clear that it's no one's fault, but it's just an issue that I think we need to talk about. So just to be clear, when the city of Bowling Green or even the city of Smiths Grove, the city of Smiths Grove in Warren County has 752 residents. I love Smiths Grove. I'm what they call a Grove rat. That's my hometown. That's where I grew up. I love it. I want them to thrive. I want them to do great things, just not at the expense of the county. And I'm going to give you a prime example. Buc-ee's, until a couple of months ago, was coming to Warren County. It's now coming to the city of Smiths Grove. So the city of Smiths Grove is going to get all of the occupational tax generated by Buc-ee's, and Warren County government will get zero. Warren County has a population of about almost 140,000. Smiths Grove has a population of 752. I don't begrudge Mayor Stiffy for doing what he did. Good for him. He called us before he did it. That's because we have a good working relationship together and we consider each other friends. So we appreciate that. But the fact of the matter is, Warren County still lost out on that money. However, Boone and Scott County, who are also over 30,000, they're not similarly situated because the laws treat them differently because of some things that have occurred in the past, and they changed the laws to help them work that out. We just weren't beneficiaries of that. But I bet if you ask Scott County Judge Executive Joe Pat Covington, what would happen if I took $12 million away from your budget? I'm going to tell you it would leave a hole in his budget. But that's what would happen if they were on playing field with Warren County. That's exactly what would happen. I don't want that to happen, so don't go back and redo it. But that's what would happen if they did. So just how the law is written, you can certainly see that there could be conflict or tension between the city and the county. We luckily haven't had that in Warren County, and I think many haven't, but we just all want to be able to find some common ground here and all work together. I understand why many people want to live in the city, whether it's a business or a person. They want the added amenities, they want the extra services. But along with that extra service, along with the added amenities, wouldn't you expect to pay just a little bit more? I know when I get ice cream and I get whipped cream on the top, it's a little bit extra. That's what I want, so I'll pay for it. And I think that's how most people are. So I want to be really, really clear and make sure you understand counties are not against annexation. That's not why we're here. We're not against annexation. And the issue isn't annexation, it's how the law is written. And I certainly think we can find common ground to fix this. You all know counties are political subdivisions of the Commonwealth. We are mandated to provide certain services, and we have certain responsibilities to our citizens. We don't care if you live in the city or the county. We provide it to everyone because that's what we're supposed to do. And the cities have the ability, and we have to spend lots of money doing that across the board. The cities have the ability to spend their money on added services, benefits to the businesses and the citizens in their area. Most of my family lives in the city, and I get it. I understand why they want to. So I want to reiterate, I feel like I need to reiterate, counties want cities to grow. We want cities to prosper, but not at the expense of our county government. No one here today is responsible for what's going on. This is just how the law was written a long time ago. I know we can find common ground, and I know we can fix this together. I'm absolutely certain of that. Thank you for allowing me to passionately speak about Warren County and my desire to make our counties and our cities grow and prosper. Thank you for letting me be late. I did not realize the time. And I'm going to hand it off to Judge Mansfield, who's going to talk about insurance premium tax.
Okay. I know it may not look like it, but I was a kid in the 80s also.
We all were. We all were.
Thank you, Chairman Mills, Chairman Dixon, and the committee members for allowing me to speak today. First, I want to talk about Todd County. Todd County is a booming rural county in western Kentucky, and we border one of the fastest growing cities and counties in Tennessee, Clarksville, Montgomery County. Our population is about 12,300, and we're home to 3 incorporated cities, Elkton, Guthrie, and Trenton. With regard to city annexation and payroll tax, Todd County is much different, in a much different situation than Warren County and counties over 30,000. When annexation occurs, we do not lose our payroll tax. In fact, because of this, the county, in cooperation with the city of Guthrie, was able to leverage our payroll tax to land Novellus, a major economic development project that was first announced back in 2018. Novellus is a leading aluminum manufacturer that invested $365 million for their new advanced finishing plant in Guthrie. That plant employs about 150 people at a minimum wage of $22 per hour. In 2022, Novellus announced an expansion of their footprint in Guthrie by choosing us for their new recycling plant, another $365 million investment that will also employ 150 people at $22 an hour minimum. The picture you see there is the groundbreaking from last summer, and you see your colleague Jason Petrie second to the right there. Novellus could not have happened without the city and county working together using both payroll tax sources as part of their financial package for this project. With regards to insurance premium, while annexation hasn't been a problem, we can see what's happening in other counties. You've all heard briefly about the insurance premium tax and how it has affected annexation. State law requires that counties' rates be offset by the city rate. So let's say a county, for instance, has an insurance rate of 10% and the city has 6%. Because of the offset or crediting, the county would only be able to collect 4% within the city. If the city's rate was equal to or more than the county could not collect any insurance premium tax within the city. So if the county levied a higher insurance rate, the city could simply raise that insurance premium rate to match the county's. There would be no additional consequence to the taxpayer because the city would be taking it from the county budget, not the taxpayer. The taxpayer is ultimately unaffected, but the funding moves from county to city. It doesn't seem right. We are fortunate in Western Kentucky to have a low unemployment rate. In fact, in Todd County, we're one of the lowest in the state. But this is not because all Todd Countyans work in Todd County. We have residents that travel to Muhlenberg County, Christian County, and other counties for their jobs and vice versa. So for me, it's not just about Todd County. It's about my neighbors. We are encouraged to think regionally, and we do. And we will continue to do this, but it seems odd that my neighbors, like Christian and Muhlenberg County, do not have the same rules applied to them. They do not have the same tools available. Why? We know some counties were grandfathered in under the old state law and that have fixed this problem. We need a fix for all counties. It's inevitable that Todd County will continue to grow, and I want my county to do well, but I want my cities to do well. The 3 mayors and I were elected in 2018. We have a great working relationship. We don't always agree, but we work together. And I want all my neighbors to do well. I want our cities to do well, our county, and our region. Let's win together. Thank you for your time. Now I will pass to Judge McKenzie.
Thank you. Good afternoon to the members of the task force, Chairman Mills, Chairman Dixon. Thank you for having us here today. Prior to my beginning service and having the honor to serve in 2019, I served several years on the Paintsville City Council. As a city council member, I was involved with annexation actions, so this experience has helped me to better understand the process of annexation. Johnson County has a population of just under 23,000 people, so we're a rural county in eastern Kentucky. Our county seat, the city of Paintsville, has about 4,300 residents. My 2 previous presenters obviously shared information related to how that annexation affects county revenues. I would like to take a few minutes and share with you a couple of ways that expanding city boundaries can impact the county from a non-monetary perspective. First, an area of concern that we have is maintaining adequate public safety. As elected officials and community leaders, the safety of our residents is a priority, if not the priority, in our service to our community. So we have some mapping to help visualize the situation in Johnson County. If we look at the first map with the expanded view of the county, you'll see thin annexed extensions that extend far away from the city proper. The second map more specifically shows that the city of Paintsville has utilized corridor or shoestring annexations to extend their boundaries. The obvious concern when we look at the very first item here, the obvious concern is that public safety services such as fire and police, can they be available? Are they available? Are they going to be responsive in a timely manner to ensure the safety of our residents? As I said a moment ago, that is the priority for us as public servants in our communities, is to make sure that our residents stay as safe as possible. Map 3 further highlights a long shoestring annexation of the state right-of-way along the south corridor of US 23. This annexation was approved in the 1990s for a proposed industrial project that never unfortunately materialized. This annexation, you might be wondering, why is that of importance to us today since this was happened in the 1990s? It's important because it created an opportunity for further annexation. If you look at map 4, you will see that it created an opportunity for a recent annexation that was approved on one property that is identified with the blue star on map 4. Johnson County, like most rural counties, is comprised of many communities within the county. Communities with varying histories, varying cultures, and map 5 highlights the location of one property is annexed that has impacted a community in Johnson County. So while I speak about two items that are non-monetary for Johnson County, and I would suspect for other rural counties as well like ours, the first one is obviously concerns about public safety. The second one, as we focus on this one particular property that was annexed by virtue of its being adjoined to the state right-of-way that was annexed back in the 1990s, this is the second concern that we have with respect to the current annexation laws. Johnson County residents have not approved the sale of alcohol in the county. Therefore, annexation of this property into the city permitted the sale of alcohol within this small community. And again, I stress this small community because we are comprised of several small communities, again, who have, in a lot of ways, have their own identity because their residents have lived there their entire lives. They're vested in those areas, and obviously these type of decisions are impactful to those small communities. The current annexation laws allow the annexation of the highway right-of-way and a voluntary request from the property owner adjoining the right-of-way to take place without input from the county or neighboring residents. As you can see, this community from the highlighted map, you can see that this particular community in Johnson County has several residential properties and a church in the immediate area of the annexed property. Therefore, this annexation action has changed the dynamic of that community. Those residents expressed their concern as best they possibly could, but because of the way the laws are currently structured, it was not left up to them as property owners or residents to help make that decision. I would, as I mentioned in the beginning remarks, I did serve on city council for several years for the city of Paintsville. And this particular annexation was actually proposed when I served on city council. And I did not support the action then because I did not feel that it met the intent of annexation, with it being so far outside of the city proper, only being connected by highway right-of-way for the purpose of being able to annex this one particular property. Lastly, map 6 identifies another approved shoestring annexation utilizing highway right-of-way to connect to a proposed private recreational project. The Secretary of State map does need to be updated with this more recent annexation, but we have highlighted it for you in purple on this particular map. And I mentioned to you that it was to be a proposed private recreational project. We are all about development. We are all about private dollars being invested in our community. We are all about working with our city to ensure that our community succeeds on every level. But I mentioned this action to you because this project is yet to develop as well, unfortunately. But the two starred locations that you see on that purple line on the map are businesses who voluntarily requested annexation to allow them to sell alcohol. Once again, an action taken without the ability for residents in that community to have the input that they felt like they needed as residents of that community, because these two businesses joined the right-of-way that had been annexed. I would say this in my concluding thoughts. My comments are not in any way to imply that Mayor Paintsville and I do not have a good working relationship, because we do. We work on a lot of projects together. We said in the very beginning, when we both started serving our community, that there will always be things we don't agree on, but we will not let the disagreements that we have stop us from doing the things that are best for our community that we do agree on. So we do work very well together. But because of this, it is obvious that when the city does well, so does the county. And likewise, when the county does well, so does the city. We understand that inner working relationship and the benefit to our community. And that's why from the beginning of my service to the county as county judge, I have emphasized the term community, because we are more than a city and we're more than a county. We are a community. I would just like to see a more level playing field for counties with respect to the current annexation laws. I want to thank you all for your time, allowing me to share this information on things that maybe might not be as obvious because they are non-monetary impacts on our communities and our residents, but thank you for allowing me to share this with you this afternoon.
Very good. We'll look for some questions. Any committee members got questions? Good. Representative Bridges.
I'd like to go back to the map on Bowling Green. And when you look at that, I see some islands within the city. Is that actually county property within the city limits?
It is. It is. Right. I'm going to look back and say, right, Sue, and I believe that's right. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's right.
Who services those islands as far as, does the city offer all their services? Does the county, or does that impede in a problem servicing it?
It would be county services only. The county.
Turn your
excuse me,
mic on.
The city. I turned it off and then forgot to turn it back on. The city only provides services to their incorporated areas, so the county provides services to those unincorporated areas. And could it be a problem? Sure. I probably can't speak as to how big of a problem that is.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I've had some other cities and counties contact me about that. That's why I'm sort of raised that question, and I'm curious about it. Thank you.
I think particularly that one little area there that's not serviced, I think they requested not to be annexed in the city. They wanted to stay in the county only for whatever reason, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I got a couple questions. Amy, just on the statistic that you gave about Scott County
Yes, sir.
and the $12 million statistic, how many years was that over? Do you know?
I don't. I think it's would I be mistaken in saying that's a year in their budget? May I turn around and ask?
Yeah. There's a couple heads shaking.
Is that right? Yes, per year.
Okay.
Per year. Per year, yes.
All right.
This is my
That's a-
support staff back here.
All right. And then on the Johnson County, on the gas station annexation, I'm just curious, what was the vote, the annexation vote initially? You remember when you were? Yeah, when you were. Was it 3-2 or something like that? Yeah. It's close. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. All right. Any other questions for the county folks? Well, thank y'all so much for your testimony. And if we have any other questions, we may call you back up. But if you have to leave, you can go ahead and leave too.
Thank you all. Thank you for
Thank y'all.
for giving us your Friday afternoon.
Same to y'all. Okay. Got the pleasure of seeing a few mayors here next. So if mayors want to come up, are y'all going to do all at once as well? JD? Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Come on up. Elizabethtown can come on up first then. Well, thank y'all again for being here. If y'all can introduce yourselves across the row there, and then y'all can get started on your testimony.
My name is Ken Howard. I'm the city attorney for Elizabethtown.
My name's Jeff Gregory. I'm the mayor of Elizabethtown.
Troy Ethington, mayor of City of Shelbyville.
And I'm Ed Pope, the city administrator for the city of E-Town.
Okay. Very good. All right, I guess. Whoever would like to take off first can go.
Looks like I won the straw poll here. I want to thank you all for being here today, Chairman Mills, Chairman Dixon, and all the members of the Annexation Task Force. It's quite an honor to be before you here today to discuss the annexations and how that relates to our topic today. My city in Shelbyville, Kentucky, we have approximately 17,000 in population, and the county is approximately 48,000. We have been successful in collaborating between the city and the county government through an interlocal agreement that we have had in place today. The interlocal agreement is a legal document that outlines the terms and conditions under which two or more local governments or entities such as the city and the county cooperate and collaborate on specific projects or services. Obviously, when the city annexes property, which means it brings a previously unincorporated area into the city limits, the interlocal agreement can offer numerous benefits to both the city and the county involved. While interlocal agreements may not be practical or needed in some situations, cities and counties where there may be disputes over annexation may consider exploring this option to bring some predictability to the process. Some of the benefits for the county: cost savings. The county may save on providing certain services to the annexed area, such as law enforcement, fire protection, road maintenance, and utility infrastructure. These services become the responsibility of the city, potentially reducing the county's operational expenses. This is particularly relevant if the city assumes these responsibilities upon annexation. Infrastructure improvement. The increased economic activity and development in the annexed area can lead to improvements in infrastructure benefiting the entire county. This could include upgrades to roads, utilities, and other shared facilities. Revenue sharing. While the county is ceding a portion of the occupational taxes, it still benefits from the growth and economic development within the annexed area. The shared revenue provides supplementary income stream for the county without requiring additional administrative efforts. Regional cooperation. Interlocal agreements promote cooperation and collaboration between local governments. This can lead to a better coordination on regional issues such as transportation planning, environmental protection, and emergency response, benefiting both city and county residents. Benefits for the city: increased revenue. Annexation often leads to an expansion of the city's tax base, resulting in increased revenue from property and occupational taxes. Sharing a portion of these taxes with the county could be seen as a fair compromise, as the city benefits from the annexed area's growth and development. Economic growth. Annexing new areas can attract businesses and residents, fostering economic growth within the city. This growth can result in more job opportunities, increased property values, and improved infrastructure, all of which contribute to a thriving urban environment. Enhanced services. Annexation often requires the city to provide municipal services to the newly incorporated area, such as water, sewage, public safety, and road maintenance. Interlocal agreement can ensure a smooth transition in service provision and funding allocation between the city and the county. In Shelbyville and Shelby County, we both, the city and the county governments, adopted our current interlocal agreement in 2019, which included a 50-50 split of the occupational taxes based on the baseline for shared revenue fixed by ordinance, as well as splitting our net profits. Shelby County right now is currently the fourth largest growing community in the state of Kentucky. We have a great relationship with our county government. We no longer compete for businesses and industry in the community. And I realize every situation is different in every community, but we no longer argue over the water and sewer. Policies that encourage cooperation, such as the interlocal cooperation law, can assist in addressing this issue. A one-size-fits-all approach is likely not sustainable for the entire state, given the diversity of the Kentucky's local government. Here's why a voluntary approach is preferable. Local flexibility. Cities and counties vary significantly in terms of size, population, resources, and priorities. A voluntary approach allows local governments to tailor their agreements to their unique needs rather than adhering to a one-size-fits-all mandate. Respect for local autonomy. Local governments are best equipped to understand the dynamics and requirements of their communities. A voluntary approach respects the principle of local autonomy, allowing jurisdictions to make decisions in their residents' best interest. Cooperation over coercion. Cooperation born out of shared interests is more sustainable and productive than forced compliance. Voluntary agreements promote a positive working relationship between the city and county officials, leading to a better outcome for our residents. Reduce administrative burden. Mandated agreements could burden local governments with additional bureaucracy and compliance requirements. This voluntary approach reduces unnecessary administrative overhead. Avoiding resistance. Mandates can breed resistance and opposition from local governments. Our voluntary approach encourages collaboration and a sense of ownership, leading to more effective implementation of the agreements. In conclusion, interlocal agreements provide a flexible and adaptable framework for the cities and counties to work together when property annexation occurs. Encouraging voluntary interlocal agreements allows local governments to mutually benefit from the annexation while respecting their unique needs and circumstances. I thank you all for your attention. This time I'll turn this over to Mayor V-Town.
Thank you, Mayor, and I appreciate that Chairman Mills, Chairman Dixon, for giving us the time that all of you are giving us here this afternoon on a Friday. I know your time's precious and you all work hard all year, not just in session. So thanks for giving us the opportunity to come speak to you. I will preface everything I say by continuing the thread of thoughts up here by both the county side and the city side that we work really well with Hardin County. We're glad to be in the same county and the same jurisdiction that they're in. We have a brand new county judge who's sitting behind me who we're proud to work with, and Harry Berry, who preceded him, we were proud to work with, and we have not had any issues. As the mayor said, there are several different situations across the state, and one shoe does not fit everyone. So I will just speak to what we experience in Elizabethtown and Hardin County and give my thoughts, and then I want to pass it over to our city administrator, Ed Pope, and then our city attorney for some final thoughts. What we are realizing in Hardin County, especially with a $6 billion Blue Oval SK announcement a year and a half ago, is that we're going to be stretched pretty thin on a lot of different things. And so we are a 33,000 population city right now, and projections have that going up 20 to 25,000 in the next 3 to 5 years. So you can imagine what that does to us when we're looking at law enforcement, we're looking at fire protection, wastewater, sewer, all of the infrastructures that we have to have and make sure that we maintain and have in place for our citizens. Currently, right now, Hardin County does a great job with what they have. And unfortunately, they don't have any occupational tax, and they don't have any insurance premiums tax. So when the developers come in, which they have been from all over the country, and they're wanting to develop residential developments contiguous to the city of Elizabethtown, and they're obviously wanting us to annex that property because we can get them the sewer, which increases their density, we're working with them. And so we need somewhere in the ballpark, just based on our figures, is 6,000 to 8,000 to 10,000 more housing units. Right now, we're currently in the process of 4,000 from some are in the starting stages, some are in the ending stages, but we need 6,000 to 8,000 more, we think, or maybe more than that before it's over with. So what we think is a plus for both the county and the city when we do annex a 100-acre farm field that's contiguous to the city of Elizabethtown, and they are getting minute property taxes off that in the county. We're putting a $60, $80, $100 million development in that field when we annex it, and then that's improving their property taxes. So the annexation, in my opinion, for Hardin County and the situation that we're in is a plus for both the city and the county. And I'm going to flip it over to our city administrator to give you some statistics on what we've seen for the last several years as far as annexation goes.
I want to reiterate first Mayor Gregory's comments. Our staff at the city and the county staff work together extremely close on development activities. In fact, most times we talk daily about different things, if not weekly on different things. We have joint meetings. They have served on our task force when we've looked at our long-range plans. We serve on their task force when they look at their long-range plans. So, again, there is a very strong cooperative relationship in our county. What we have seen, though, specifically from an annexation process, For the last 20 plus years, the only annexations that the city of Elizabethtown have done have been by request of a property owner and by their consent. So we have not sought to annex areas unless the property owner first approached the city of Elizabethtown. And in those instances, again, in relationship to our working relationship with the county, their long-range plan actually identifies areas for future annexation possibilities by the city, as our plan identified areas out in the county that were potential for future annexation. Most of the reason or that we get requests for annexation in Elizabethtown is because we have sanitary sewer, and it will then benefit that development from a development standpoint. The annexations have ranged from as small as an acre or two for a small business or a nonprofit that needed to connect to our sewer system, up to 400 acres in size for mixed-use future developments of both residential and commercial, and in some instances, industrial development. Our community is about 27 square miles. For each of the last 10 years, we've added about 2 square miles in each decade. So it's been, even though our population growth has exceeded that rate, it has been somewhat of a controlled, planned effort between the city and the county as we look at our future and the services that we can provide. I know one of the comments about some of the spot annexations and quarter annexations, our city council has resisted that effort because we recognize the ability to provide those services along corridors to make sure it is clear whether it is a city service or a county service that you're seeking. I won't say that it has never happened, but like I said, in recent efforts, because of the joint discussions and efforts with the county, from a service standpoint, we have avoided those type situations.
Good afternoon. All right. I'm tone blind, so I can't tell the difference between green and red. Is a challenge here. Let me speak to you perhaps from a little different perspective, because while I'm in my third year as the attorney for the city of Elizabethtown, I spent 17 years as the Hardin County attorney. And I think, as you've heard here today, I think your challenge is great because everybody's situations are different, and one size cannot fit all. In Hardin County, for the last 30 years that I've been associated with either the city or the county as their attorney, we don't have issues concerning annexation. I can remember one that created opposition, and it was, as you've already heard here today, about alcohol at a golf course 20 years ago, I think it was. It's frankly legally moot at this point. And so, because Hardin County does not have an occupational tax or an insurance premium tax, we just don't have those issues that we have to deal with. And so, we cooperate with one another. Whenever development occurs, and as you've heard here today, typically the county tax rolls go up with the city tax rolls. And there's not a loss of revenue for anyone. We all gain revenue. And so as you're considering your challenge here, I think we would ask that you consider places across this Commonwealth that are like Hardin County and Elizabethtown. It's not an issue, annexation. And so we would, and as Mr. Pope has mentioned, all of them, 98, 9% of them, are what we call consent annexation. The property owner requested. And so I don't know if you're going to hear from property owners at any time, but they have rights as well. to best utilize their property that they own. So thank you again for the opportunity to speak here today.
Before y'all get up from the table, I'm going to see if we have any questions. Any questions from committee? Any questions? Representative Bridges has a question.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. I'm full of questions today. I think Mayor Ethington,
Yes, sir.
what I like to know is, would you support requiring an interlocal agreement before any annexations being done? You spoke highly of that, so
Would I require it?
would you support requiring that?
I don't know if that's something that we need to mandate. All I like to do is offer, this is what's working for our community. And just like I said before, each community is going to be different in makeup. It's a suggestion. It's an option that's on the table, obviously, for communities to look at. We do very well just because of the golden triangle that we are located in, being in between the two largest cities in the state. We also have the advantage of having airports that are close to us, Ohio River. So we have a lot of transportation pluses in regards to industries and so forth. I think it's possibility, it's an option for communities to look at. Not to say that what we have is perfect, but it's pretty good. It's pretty solid. The fact that we're able to incorporate and both agree to have an occupational tax that's shared, including our net profits. Also, something else that was spoke about today in regards to fire protection. I know there's probably some concerns about fire departments that are in tax districts. Well, we've built into our interlocal agreement that we have stipulations in there that if we annex property, depending on that year, the following year, we look at the assessment and the percentage of their tax base, and we pay the fire departments at that point. So that's also in our agreement, something that I didn't really go over, but that's another part of our package in our personal interlocal agreement that was agreed upon with Shelby County and the city of Shelbyville.
Okay, thank you. Just one brief comment. Just a kudos. I actually carried this annexation task force bill and as a committee sub and was a drafter of it. And your interlocal agreement was one that we admired and looked at.
Thank you,
and
sir.
considered that. So just, that's what I'm saying, because what we run into problems when the counties and cities are working together is we have no problems. The problem arises when the county and city can't come to a resolution. So what do we do in that instance? And if we had some sort of format, and I'm just sharing that along with you with the rest of the committee on that variance, just to say, but your interlocal agreement was one that we looked to and admired. So just
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate that.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I got 2 or 3 real quick. So on your interlocal agreement, and you said it was 2019 when y'all put that in effect?
For this particular interlocal agreement, yes, and it's a 20-year agreement.
Okay.
Now, prior to that, I believe I can probably go back to probably 2004. We had other interlocal agreements that were in place prior to this.
Okay.
There was a time period that once the interlocal agreement ended, there was maybe 2 or 3 years that we didn't have one. So around 2019 is when we met with Shelby County and their magistrates and worked very hard together to put this together.
Yep. Do you have any recollection of what actually motivated the initial interlocal agreement, the circumstance, or?
Well, I think it takes care of a lot of the problems that we're hearing today. A lot of we tried to complement with solutions, with being able to cooperate amongst both governments, whether it be when we annex property, we do the same. 98% is individual. They are coming to us. They are requesting the annexation. We have consent, and it all has to be contiguous. We're not hopping around the map, if you will. Properties have to be contiguous, and it just seemed like it worked very well. And the fact that we were able to incorporate the occupational taxes and the net profits in there, everyone wins.
Right.
At the end of the day, everyone wins. The city's growth, the county's growth, the residents, the community.
And in E-Town, will y'all extend city services if there isn't annexation involved?
So we have two utilities in Elizabethtown. We have natural gas and sewer. And the water's owned by the Hardin County Water District. We don't own that anymore. And to answer your question by ordinance, and correct me if I'm wrong, we cannot extend city services past city limits.
Okay, cool. And then Hardin County, the revenue generated is just from property tax. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions for these gentlemen? Well, thank you so much. We'll swap y'all out and we'll bring up the next group.
Thank you all.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you all.
You get your participation certificate outside. Mayor Keck is back.
Yeah, sorry about that.
2-day repeat. Different location. Mayor Fraley? Yes, sir. If y'all can just introduce yourself for the record, and the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. My name is Bruce Fraley, Mayor of the City of Berea.
Mayor Alan Keck, City of Somerset. Mayor.
I'll go ahead and get started since I'm the new guy. Chairman Mills and Chairman Dixon and members of the task force, thank you for the opportunity to present our annexation success story. Over the past 22 years, 87 acres to the immediate north of Berea's industrial park was acquired by the city. The 87-acre Berea Industrial Park expansion contains 23 very small parcels, some that were inside the city limits and some that were in county jurisdiction. Individually, none of those lots purchased by the city would have been large enough to seat a large industry or business. Collectively, the city now has a master plan with 10 lots that will be marketed for industrial development. And if I can work the computer here, I'll show you a little map of that.
There you go.
Well, I may not get it.
I want to help you. Oh, we marched. Here you go. You got help. You got tech help coming.
That's what I need, all the tech help I can
Kind
get.
of.
Look there, just as soon as he gets up, I get it.
There you go.
But this is the Berea Industrial Park expansion, and again, this property was acquired by the city of Berea over a 22-year period. In 2022, the city of Berea annexed the final parcels that were not inside the city limits that the city had purchased over the years and put all 87 acres into one consolidated parcel. And I'll show you a map of that just to get a little graphic of how that looks. Technology challenges. Here we go. There we go. And you can see the different parcels within that and how complicated that was and why it took 22 years. It took a long time. So all the parcels that you see were consolidated into one plat. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of that. With all due diligence completed, Lot 7 of the industrial park expansion, which totals 32.9 acres, is currently under development, where the city was awarded maximum funding under the Product Development Initiative in the pilot phase. And that was to develop a build-ready site. And we don't have that on the screen, but you do have it in your packet that shows the award for the PDI for this particular parcel. Cities are the engine that drives the Kentucky economy. And this is one of numerous examples where many years of planning and investment by a city are paying off. This investment of time and money lifts up both the city and the county by providing increased property tax revenue, employment for citizens throughout the entire county, and population growth, which leads to growth in housing and development, increased property values, and an overall quality of life improvement. In our annexation success story, Berea tax dollars were used to buy the land, with no investment required by our county. This is just one of many examples where the annexation provides both tangible and intangible benefits to our county government. In fact, we cannot find any examples in Berea where our annexations have been detrimental to the county. I do not think that state law or state policy should be modified to make cities subordinate to their county government. Also, broadly limiting the ability of cities to annex property and develop the Kentucky economy would have a negative impact on our counties, our cities, and most importantly, a negative impact on the citizens of our Commonwealth. I am very fortunate to have an outstanding working relationship with my county judge executive and members of our fiscal court. We work together on many issues impacting local governments and have a great partnership. For example, we are working with other local governments involving 3 different counties on a new product development initiative application for a regional industrial park. Something that I didn't think was possible, but we're moving forward and moving along. And as I listen to others that testified before us, what I'm hearing is a lot of what's going on is about revenue shortfall. I believe that incentivizing county and city governments to partner on regional industrial parks is a viable way to advance our state's economy and address those revenue shortfalls that have been mentioned today. Cities and counties across our Commonwealth need to be united in our efforts to build a statewide economy of the future, and I hope that annexation laws and policies considered by this task force in the General Assembly in the future will not have an adverse impact on the cooperative spirit that local governments must have for our state to reach its highest potential. We also need to seek agreement by all parties on any recommendations coming out of this committee. And my hope is that our state motto will be the guiding principle of the task force as you move forward. Thank you again for the opportunity to present and for hearing me out. Mayor?
Thanks, Mayor. Again, my name is Alan Keck. It's been the honor of my lifetime to get to serve the city of Somerset and my entire community. I'm a proud member of the city of Somerset and a lifelong member of Pulaski County. I want to provide a moment of levity, perhaps, for KCO and KLC to bring up mayors and judges who all get along. That's a miracle right there. I think they deserve a round of applause for bringing folks that do cooperate. But I also think it's a literal testimony or testament to what can happen when we do work together. I mentioned being a resident of Pulaski County. I think it's important for us to note, while it may seem elementary or standard, while now more residents in the state of Kentucky live in cities than don't live in cities, all tax-paying residents in cities are also tax-paying residents of their county. I am a proud supporter and payer of our jail and our 911 and contributor to all the services that the county government offers. And I don't say that to create extra division. I just say it simply that I am also a county resident. We are contributing in the same exact ways as the county residents are to those services. With that, I grew up in the county. I grew up out Highway 39, 4 miles from the city limits. And I've always been a proud Pulaski Countian. And even as mayor of our largest city, I continue to be proud. I want to talk a little bit about win-win. We've been blessed in our community, our entire community, with some historic results in the last 4 or 5 years. I'll start by talking a little bit about growth, and I want to finish with that. In the last 10 years, the city of Somerset has grown at almost 3 times the state average. Our county has also grown at almost 2 times the state average. I think a big reason for that is working together. As was mentioned by other mayors and judges, through a series of interlocal agreements, we have put politics aside or local egos aside to better the lives, quality of life for all of our citizens. As a result of those interlocal agreements that include occupational tax, insurance premium tax, even an EMS agreement, because in our community, the city provides that service with some financial help from the county to the entire county, we have seen record results not just in population growth, but in economic development. Over $300 million of jobs of projects announced, hundreds of jobs, lives being changed. Our Economic Development Authority has led the state on reentry and programs for workforce development training with those shared dollars. And I want to close by talking more about growth. My encouragement to this task force, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you. I apologize for not saying thanks as I open my remarks, is let's be growth-oriented and growth-minded with whatever solution that you come up with. Many of you know, I think probably all of you know, that Kentucky has struggled for a long time. In the last decade, we just experienced our second slowest decade of population growth in 100 years. We're battling so many challenges and appreciate the work of the General Assembly that's trying to solve many of those with tax reform. But I think this issue is yet another one that as we talk about local governments cooperating, let's take some of the handcuffs off and allow us to control our own destiny. I think now in this issue more than ever is the reason that we should allow us to have local revenue options. Instead of fighting over a divided pie and figuring out who's going to win or benefit the most out of growth, let's create a system in Kentucky where we can all benefit should our local governments choose to allow us to. And so with that, again, thank you, and we'd entertain any questions.
Any questions from Representative Meredith? Finally has a question.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, it's really more of a comment, I think. And it's an overreaching comment from the entire presentation we've had today. It's not a comment directed to Mayor Keck or anyone else that's been at the table directly. I think what today illustrates, if you look at the discussion that we've had in this room, is truly how difficult this issue is, number one. And number two, that the issue is not really annexation. The issue is the revenue that is parsed out, taken away, or dealt with because of the issue of annexation. Because you have really three really important parties in this entire discussion. You have cities in the discussion, you have counties in the discussion, and you have property owners in the discussion. You know, there was a discussion earlier about holes in annexation, and the map in Bowling Green was brought up, and we talked about that a little bit. But I would argue that consensual annexation in those situations is working exactly as it should. You had property owners who were demanding city services, and the city was able to find a way to get to those people. There were people who were also near those services who didn't want the city services. And so instead of creating some large fight in the discussion of this between property owners, cities, and counties, they were able to find a way to serve the people that wanted the services and to leave the people that didn't want the services alone. We can talk about shoestring or corridor annexation. And I happen to have what I think are two of the largest success stories in the Commonwealth of Kentucky right now in my district. On the north end of my district and kind of the middle of my district and the south end of my district, because we have the Kentucky Transpark right in the heart of my district. And it was a cooperative product between the leadership of Judge Buchanan and the Warren County government, and also the cooperation of the city government. And if you look at it on a map, that would be argued as being a corridor annexation, I think. But could we have had the success that we had there had we not had the city and the county working together in that situation? The other one I would point out on the south end of my district is the Old Stone Country Club, which is probably one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in the entire Commonwealth of Kentucky, certainly outside of Louisville, Lexington, and northern Kentucky right now. What was formerly an agricultural area, a farm right there, and frankly the Transpark was too, has now been developed into a subdivision with multi-million-dollar homes and one of the premier golf courses, not just in Kentucky, but in the entire nation, if you look at it. A world-class facility there. And you know, it illustrates the differences in what communities see in each different community out of 120 counties and over 400 cities. Because the alcohol issue, Judge McKenzie, you mentioned being a problem in your community. Well, frankly, the alcohol issue was probably what led to the annexation at Old Stone, because if you couldn't have had alcoholic beverages served, would that have been as successful of a golf course as what it is today? Would they have been able to do what they were able to do with their clubhouse and their facilities there? And so each and every community in this discussion is different. It's not a problem of annexation. It's the problem of how do we get the revenue policy correct? And I would be remiss if I didn't say this a little bit in the other role that I serve in now as banking and insurance chair. And I know that insurance premium tax continues to be a discussion in this, but I just caution everybody right now, in a time that we're looking at 20% increases in insurance policies across the state in many, many places, that is an area that as local officials and as state officials, when we talk about the premium tax, we're going to have to be very, very careful in so that we don't price the insurance marketplace out of the state right now. And so I think we have to mention that in this discussion as well. I do think that there's merit in trying to figure out how we deal with the situation with occupational net profit and gross receipts tax. It's been unfair for the counties over 30,000 for many, many years. But I also think that we all have to recognize on this panel that if we find a way to fix that, it will be looked at by those who are affected by it by a large tax increase, as a large tax increase somehow or another, if communities won't work together in a cooperative manner like many of the ones that have been here today and have some form of an interlocal agreement or something like that to work through those issues. And so I just think that today it has been great to hear from communities who have found a way to work together and who have been success stories because of their work together. And I think this should be an inspiration to many of those out there who have not found that way to work together, to come together and find that opportunity to work together to bring that success to their communities as well.
Very good. Thank you. Senator Nemus.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And unlike most of you, I was not a child in the 80s. I was a property tax payer, and I didn't know or care if it was city or county. I just didn't like paying taxes. So, Mayor Fraley, I thought I heard you say that it took you 22 years to purchase this land. So did you purchase it or annex it or do both?
Both. That was purchased by the Berea Industrial Development Authority over a 22-year period. And that was, some of those parcels were in county jurisdiction and some were out. It's much like the map that they showed of Bowling Green that Representative Bridges mentioned, where you had the pockets and it looked like a jigsaw puzzle where one lot would be in the city, one was out. So some of those were annexed over time. Some of them were not annexed at the time that they were purchased. And that's when we did the cleanup in 2022 to bring.
Well, that's a unique way of having the property owners consent to being annexed.
Buy it.
Yes,
that's right.
Could I have one more question? We were talking. I think it was the counties was talking about a $12 million shortfall when the cities annexed something. Was that calculated by what would have been by the annexation of future progress, or was that what they were already that they already had and lost because of the annexation? I think that, if you don't mind.
So that's the amount of revenue Scott County gets from their occupational tax. And they're able to get that on a yearly basis, and that's what's in their budget. If they were on the same level playing field as Warren County under the laws, they're functioning under a different law because of how the law was written years ago.
Okay,
But
thank you. I understand that.
Okay,
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
I'll try to be brief. This is to Mayor Keck, and I on a side note, I want to thank you for your testimony yesterday in local government state fair. We appreciate that. I've tried to do my research on this way before the task force has ever started, and just to get a sense how annexation is approached around the state, and where y'all are working together now. I want you to go back to your when you first initially come into office, the first 4 years,
Sure.
and you attempted annexation. I don't think that went as well, and what's your learned experience from that? And I'm not picking on you. I'm depending on you to help us grow from past mistakes, or not necessarily mistakes. Don't get me wrong, but just how did you learn from that experience, and how's that transgressed? Hopefully, it made things better.
No, it's a super fair question. Actually, I've been asked the question if I could identify my biggest mistake or regret, what would it be? And I usually go right to annexation. We embarked on what probably would have been the most aggressive, I'll say unilateral annexation project in the history of the state. We were doing it not for revenue grab, because I wanted my community to grow. Like the rest of the state, we were stale and stagnant, and we were under that magic number of 20,000, where a lot of companies or commercial entities won't come to your community because you're too small. We embarked on it. I quickly learned that county residents absolutely despised it. Threats on me, my family, and a lot of my friends. Very quickly I learned this was not, in fact, what the community wanted. And so I tried to do what a lot of politicians or elected leaders won't do. I listened. I stopped. And in that moment, I pledged there will be no more forced annexation plans under my administration. So in spite of, you'll still look, if you look at the Somerset growth in the last 3 or 4 years, a lot of it has been via annexation. A lot of those industrial projects have occurred as a result of that. It has all been 100% been consensual annexation. And so I think now we're meeting this, what Representative Meredith said is we found a solution. You know, if the community doesn't want it this way, we're going to grow in spite of that. Do I regret it? No, because I learned a lot. It humbled me a little. And I realized that you probably shouldn't embark on something so aggressive 6 months into office.
May I follow up on that?
Sure.
I do appreciate that, and you know that you bring a lot of wisdom there. So not meaning to put you on the spot, but I know I did. So I apologize.
Oh,
there,
don't
but,
apologize. That's why we're here. I'm happy to
but,
share that experience.
You know, and we do. I think one of the things we stress, or I've seen, is I think the desire is economic growth and the betterment of all our communities, whether it's county or city. Yeah. However, when we've got counties and cities that can't get along, you're not going to have a company wanting to spend $500 million, $1 billion of investment into that community when the cities and counties are at each other's throats. So that's I think that's the real purpose behind it, and what we're hearing today: the working together, the interlocal agreements, the strive to come to a consensus before it's out there in the newspaper and everything.
Can I comment on that?
Yeah, sure. Please do.
I think it's important, even after that challenge initially, if you take a look at the revenue that's happened in our community since that moment. In the last 4 years, the city's occupational tax revenue is up over $1 million. And for a town of 12,000, that's a huge deal. The county is up over $3 million in that same period. It is genuinely a win-win. And to your final point, that if communities and community leaders can't get along, and I say this with as much respect for you all and your service as I can, you're not going to force them to. I think it's up to those communities. That was Somerset and Pulaski County under old administrations. The community then needs to step up and elect leaders who are going to put the community first, city and county, not just their own interest. And I don't know that can be solved in any committee up here.
Okay, just a couple more questions. Mayor Fraley, I was just curious, can you expand on the Buc-ee's situation in your community area? Is that
Well, I can a little bit, but Buc-ee's is actually in Richmond.
It is. Okay.
It is.
I apologize.
A lot of people think that it's in Berea, and we would claim it if Mayor Blythe would let me. I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, somebody get me a narrative of that. I'm sure somebody will. So, that'd be. I'd love to hear the story. Could you step up and tell us the circumstances behind that?
While he's coming up, I will tell you that he is the greeter at Buc-ee's very often.
Hey, and before you give your testimony, we need to approve our minutes. So the minutes were given out. Is there a motion to approve our minutes? Motion second by Representative Dixon, second by Senator Nemes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, Senator Nemes, you can leave. All right. Sorry to put you on the spot, sir. If you could give your name and.
I'm Robert Blythe, serve as the mayor of the city of Richmond.
Very good. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for the opportunity. I consider it such. My friend and colleague just said, sorry to put you on the spot. I don't feel on the spot because everywhere I go, I find myself talking about Buc-ee's.
Did you happen to bring some of those Buc-ee nuggets or anything like that?
I will next trip. Wasn't planning this, but that has been a tremendous boost to the city of Richmond. We looked at some maps earlier about annexation and expansion of cities, and oftentimes I find myself pointing out to folks that Richmond has a tail because our city limits go down the interstate, I-75, and that's one of the reasons that we were able to acquire the Buc-ee's in the city limits of Richmond. I often applaud our utilities board for having the wisdom some years ago to put in the infrastructure in those areas that were acquired, and that made us ready, particularly at exit 83, which is where Buc-ee's is located. There was a time, and I'll try to be brief. Now, for a Baptist preacher with a microphone, you know that's not going to be the case. But 2-3 years ago, and we actually opened in April of last year. But for for the first several weeks that Buc-ee's, the manager, it was 10 minutes till 6. They were to open at 6. And he said, Mayor, would you like to officially open the store? And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, would you like to open the doors? Now, it was like the Black Friday atmosphere, of course, with the folks. And there's some Buc-ee's, if I may use the term, Buc-ee's groupies. I mean, these, it's almost cultic. And you count down with me, 3, 2, 1, and we threw the doors open, and the rest is history. Now, there. But when the vice president for real estate of Buc-ee's showed.
Those have been brought up by mayors. Is there a judge? Do we have a judge, or from the counties, their take on interlocal agreements, or a?
For Todd County, the cooperation between the county and the city of Guthrie is through an interlocal agreement.
Okay.
The whole project.
Would you come to the mic, and would you mind to answer the question? So on interlocal agreement from the county side, maybe just brief, everybody's time, but your experience with that from the county and how your thoughts and feel with that on that issue on the county side.
Well, the interlocal agreement actually occurred in the my predecessor. So I was coming into office, so I inherited this agreement. So, but it allowed for the city and the county both to work together through revenues and the repayment of the debt that we took on for the Novellis project. It has been a good working relationship with the city of Guthrie. So,
Representative Pollock has a question. Get Sarge on here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You stole my thunder there, Mayor. Communication is very healthy. Very, very healthy. And today, what I've kind of taken in, everyone works a little bit differently. When I hear from my good friend, Mayor Gregory in E-Town in Hardin County, where there's no occupational tax and insurance tax, I'm curious to see how that works and as a model. That might be something that we can go with. I don't know. When I hear Mayor Fraley talk about you all working together on that industrial foundation, again, what that looks like as a model, that our task force that we've put together in this, situation here, and look at some different models. Because again, across the state of Kentucky, everybody's going to be a little bit different, and they do business a little bit different. But obviously, there's some that